Every single night, our minds take us on these incredible journeys. Sometimes they're amazing, sometimes they're, well, just plain weird, but they're always a mystery. So let's pull back the curtain on one of our brain's most fascinating creations and ask the big question: why do we dream? I mean, we've all been there, right? You wake up, maybe your heart's pounding a little, from a dream that felt so completely real, but was also totally bizarre, and you're just lying there thinking, what on earth was that all about? Why does our brain cook up these vivid and often really random stories while we're asleep? Well, to answer that, we've got to first understand what dreams are at their core. So let's get into what's really happening inside our heads when we turn out the lights. Okay, so first things first, dreams are not just some random, meaningless mental static. They're actually a super important function of the brain. You can think of dreaming as your mind's nightly processing cycle. While your body is resting, your brain is hard at work, sifting through everything that happened that day, sorting information, filing away memories, and dealing with all the emotions you felt. This analogy really kind of nails it. Imagine your mind as the super busy office. At the end of a long day, a cleanup crew comes in to file the important papers, toss out the clutter, and just get everything organized for the next day. That's pretty much what your brain is doing. And dreams, they're a huge part of that whole nightly cleanup process. So where does all this mental housekeeping actually happen? Because not all sleep is created equal. Our most vivid, most memorable dreams happen in a very specific phase, inside what you could call the dream factory, REM sleep. REM stands for rapid eye movement, and it's such a fascinating state. Your brain is buzzing with activity, almost like you're awake. Your eyes are literally darting back and forth under your eyelids. That's where the name comes from. But here's the really cool part. Your body's major muscles are basically on lockdown, temporarily paralyzed. It's this amazing built-in safety feature that stops you from actually trying to fly or, run away from that giant squirrel in your dream. So you've got this incredible paradox, a mind that's wide awake and racing inside a body that's completely still. And it's this unique combination that sets the perfect stage for the wild, immersive theater of our dreams. All right, so we know what dreams are and when they happen. But that brings us right back to the million-dollar question. Why? Why does our brain even bother doing this? Well, scientists don't have one single definitive answer, but they do have some really compelling theories. We're going to look at 3 of the leading ideas: memory sorting, something called the emotional reset, and random brain activity. Let's break them down. First up, memory sorting. This theory suggests that dreams are basically just a side effect of your brain deciding what experiences from the day are important enough to keep. It's like a little mental librarian is going through all your memory cards, carefully filing away the crucial ones and tossing the rest. The dream itself is just the story you happen to see while that sorting process is going on. Then there's the emotional reset theory. Think about it. During the day, we might push down feelings like stress or worry. This idea suggests that dreams give our brain a safe space to unpack all those emotions without our conscious mind getting in the way. It's kind of like free overnight therapy that helps you start the next day with a cleaner emotional slate. And finally, we have the random brain activity theory. This one is less about deep meaning and more about pure mechanics. It suggests that during REM sleep, your brainstem just shoots out all these random electrical signals. Your higher brain, the part that loves telling stories, then does its absolute best to weave all that random static into some kind of narrative that makes sense. And that could totally explain why dreams are often so bizarre and jumpy, right? Your brain's just trying to connect completely unrelated dots. So whether it's sorting files, processing feelings, or just making sense of random noise, one question is still hanging out there. If it's all just stuff happening in our brains, why do dreams feel so intensely real? Well, the answer comes down to which parts of your brain are switched on. Your emotional center, the amygdala, is fired up and going full throttle, creating powerful feelings like fear, excitement, and joy. But at the exact same time, your prefrontal cortex, that's the part in charge of logic and reason, is pretty much asleep on the job. So when you have all these intense emotions without that little voice of reason to say, hey, this is kind of weird, you get a powerful, totally immersive, and sometimes terrifying experience. Which, of course, leads to our final mystery. If these experiences are so powerful, why do they seem to just vanish the second we open our eyes? Turns out the reason is surprisingly simple. The specific brain chemistry that's active during sleep just isn't set up for making strong long-term memories. So unless you wake up and immediately make a conscious effort to remember that dream, like write it down, it just dissolves like fog. It was never really meant to be stored in the first place. So, here's the big takeaway. Dreams are far from being random nonsense. Whether they're sorting our memories, healing our emotions, or just exploring crazy new ideas, they are a fundamental part of how your brain takes care of itself. Dreaming is an active, productive, and absolutely essential part of your life. So the next time you wake up from a really strange dream, maybe you'll see it a little differently. Hey, if you enjoyed this little explainer, be sure to follow along for more insights into the fascinating world all around us and inside our own heads. Thanks for tuning in.